Hello. Yes. Well, look at this. Can you read that? Kind of interesting, isn't it? Yeah. I got to make a new one. Okay, now. Incorruptible Things, which is really kind of interesting when you get into a lot of the things that are incorruptible. Now, insomuch as ye know that ye were not redeemed with corruptible things, as silver and gold, from your vain conversation received by tradition from your fathers. 1 Peter 1:18. Not all the wealth of the world can redeem a single soul. For gold and silver are merely corruptible elements in a world under the bondage of corruption. Romans 8:11. Everything in the physical creation is decaying and dying. In fact, one day all these elements shall melt with heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. 2 Peter 3:10. Even the very seeds that transmit life are corruptible seed. 1 Peter 1:23. And all mankind is corruptible man. Romans 1:23. Modern science recognizes this universal principle of decay as one of its most basic laws, the law of increasing entropy. Even in this corruptible world, however, some things are incorruptible. There is the incorruptible Word of God, which liveth and abideth forever. 1 Peter 1:23. Even through heaven and earth shall pass away, the words of God shall not pass away. Matthew 24:35. We are redeemed, not by silver and gold, but with the precious life of God. God Himself is the uncorruptible God, and He can be given us again unto a lively hope by the resurrection that took place. And finally, the dying bodies will themselves be redeemed, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed, for this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. That's really kind of interesting because salvation is incorruptible, which was really interesting when you get to that where salvation, once you're saved, can't be corrupted, because it is a spiritual rebirth. It has nothing to do with things here on earth. Now, what's really kind of interesting is no matter what we do here on earth, within man's laws, if we break man's laws and get caught, there's a lot of problems with people doing wrong things and get away with it. But if you get caught, you pay with your money or you pay with your body. Now, everybody said to me one time, would a killer go to heaven? Well, you have to understand that we live in two worlds. So that means we live in an earthly world where we pay for things with our body, and we have a spiritual world that we will pay for things spiritually that happen to us within our spirit. So when you ask the question, will a killer go to heaven? Well, the body, no matter what, if you do something wrong here on earth, you're going to pay for it. Now, if you're a killer, you're going to pay with your body in jail for life. Now, that doesn't mean that your soul can't get saved. Now, if your soul gets saved and it becomes immortal, when you die, you will still go to heaven and be one of God's children. So, when you get into that question, the question is yes and no. Your body will not go to heaven, and it won't anyway, but you still have to pay for what you've done with your body. But when you die, you will become immortal. So therefore, the answer is you can still go to heaven even though you're a killer. So that was really kind of interesting, that question that was asked, because it was actually a two-part question. It's like the fairness of an atheist proving that God doesn't exist, and a born-again preacher against the atheist. Well, the whole debate was unfair because the atheist only knew worldly things, and he was talking about worldly things because he has no knowledge of spiritual things that the pastor does because he's born again. So when you ask an earthly question and answer it with a spiritual answer, you will be proved wrong, because people here on earth only understand what is earthly, not heavenly. So even though the debate you thought went well, at the end, and a lot of these debates you have lost, because all the ones that were judging you on who was right and who was wrong they was all earthly and only understand the earthly realm. So no matter what the preacher said was irrelevant, because it had nothing to do with life here on earth, because it was a spiritual enlightenment from God's realm. So therefore, the whole debate was meaningless. Now, I've seen this, and I even watched a couple of them, and of course, the pastors lost because there is no actual proof that God is real, God is alive, and therefore can be proven unless you get saved. Well, an atheist ain't going to get saved, and all the ones that are judging are earthly are not going to get saved. So there's no way to actually prove your understanding and knowledge of what the real truth is. So this was really kind of interesting when you get within a debate with anyone that is not saved, and all they know is the earthly realm that we live in. So it gets kind of really interesting when you get into that, for things are way different. And the only way to explain this is we have been lied to for so many years that we don't know what the truth is. I'm going to leave you with that thought. That some things are corruptible and some things are not.